All right, let's talk about how we solve one and two step equations for our second week here in ACM. We're going to talk about solving one step equations. We're going to talk about combining like terms and the distribution property. And then we'll look at examples of solving multi step equations. So, first of all, some vocabulary here. An equation is a problem with an equal sign. And a solution is the answer to an equation. For example, if we have like 2x equals 8, that is an equation. To solve it, we would divide both sides by 2, and our solution would be x equals 4. So in a solution, we have our variable on one side and our number on the other side. So, some one-step equations. We want to solve for x. Right now, it's x plus 5 equals 2. So to get rid of plus 5, we do the opposite. And anything we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other. Sometimes students want to just line up a minus 5 under everything, but we don't put another minus 5 under the x. It's just if we do it once on the left side, then we do it once on the right side of the equal sign. So 5 minus 5 goes away. Now x is by itself on the left side of the equal sign. 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So in a one-step equation, if we see addition, we do the opposite, which is subtraction. It won't always be an x. We can use any variable, any letter to serve as the variable. So here, b minus 3 equals 7. So if we see the operation subtraction, we do the opposite of subtracting, which is to add. So the opposite of minus 3 is plus 3, which we do to both sides. Minus 3 plus 3, I line it up vertically. You could line it up, horizontally, all in one line. It's all the same stuff. But minus 3 and plus 3, opposite, so they cancel out. b is by itself on the left side, and 7 plus 3 is 10. We'll look at two more for our one-step equations. So what if we see multiplication? Take 6x equals 36. First of all, this 6 right here is called a coefficient. That's the number in front of the variable. And we mean like attached to the variable. There's nothing separating the coefficient 6 and the variable x. And if there's nothing between them, if it's, squished together like this, we know that it's being multiplied. 6x is 6 times x. And the opposite of multiplying by 6 is to divide by 6. And if I do that to the left side, I need to do it to the right side. So we have a multiplying by 6 and dividing by 6 that cancels out, giving us x equals, so x is by itself, and 36 divided by 6 is 6. Of course, we can always check our work. If I know that x equals 6, then this really means if 6x equals 36, then 6 times 6 equals 36. And that is true. So we can always check our work. Let's take something like this. X over 4 equals 3. Our final one-step equation. So we think about what is happening to x. Right now it is being divided by 4. And the opposite of divide by 4 is to multiply by 4. I do it like that. So I have my times dot of 4 up here and a divide by 4. Those are going to cancel out. We multiplied the left side by 4, so we need to multiply the right side by 4. So we got rid of the denominator. So now x is by itself, and 3 times 4 is 12. And again, we can check our work. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that is how we solve one-step equations. Let's talk briefly about how we combine like terms. If you have something like this, so no equal sign, so this would be an expression that we can simplify, and we combine like terms. To be like terms, you have to have the same variable. So 2x and 5x are like terms. And we add the coefficients. So 2x plus 5x is 7x. The x just stays an x. We just add the coefficients. And then two numbers, or constants, are also like terms. So 3 plus 4 would make 7. So combining like terms, only combine an x term with another x term. Only combine a constant with another constant. If I had something like 3y and let's say minus y, I could not combine a y term with an x term because the variables are different. If it's just minus y, that's the same as minus 1y. So 3y minus 1y, combine those like terms to get a positive 2y. So only combine if they have the same variable by adding or subtracting the coefficients. Only combine constants with other constants. And then the distribution property. If we see a number out in front of a parenthesis, again, nothing separating this 2 and this parenthesis, so that tells us that we are multiplying. And we distribute. So 2 parentheses 3x minus 5 means that the 2 is being multiplied to both the 3x and the negative 5. So 2 times 3x is 6x. And 2 times minus 5, or negative 5, makes a minus 10. So take what is to the left of the parenthesis and multiply it into what is in the parenthesis. So let's look at our multi-step equations. Here's the first example. So again, what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And here, so there's a 5 attached to the x. That means it's 5 times x. And then there's this plus 2 equals negative 13. So do we want to divide the 5 first, or do we want to do the opposite of plus 2, which is subtract 2 first? And we always want to add or subtract first. I want to get my x term by itself. So I'm going to subtract 2 as my first step. That cancels. Plus 2 minus 2 goes away. Now I have 5x equals negative 13 minus 2. Same sign, so we keep the sign and combine the numbers. 13 and 2 makes 15. Again, if you take a negative number and subtract from it, you get a bigger negative. So again, we want to add or subtract first because now we have our 5x isolated on one side by itself. And to get rid of the coefficient 5, we divide both sides by 5. Negative 15 divided by 5, a negative divided by a positive is negative. Look at a couple more. So 3a plus 7 equals 2a minus 9. So we have variables on both sides of the equal sign, and we have constants on both sides of the equal sign. So in this case, we want to get our variables on one side, our numbers on the other. Students are kind of used to putting the variable on the left. You don't have to, but might as well. If there's no minus sign in front of the 2a, then we know it's positive. And to get rid of something that is positive, we subtract it. So the opposite of a positive 2a is to subtract 2a. Remember, combining like terms, I can't subtract 2a from 7 because 7 doesn't have the variable a. But 3a minus 2a, that works. 3a minus 2a, subtract the coefficients to get a, and then carry down everything else. Plus 7 equals negative 9. So we have our variables on the left. Now let's get our numbers on the right by getting rid of this plus 7, by subtracting 7. So again, we have gotten the a by itself by getting rid of this minus 7. We're getting rid of the positive 7 by subtracting it. And now negative 9 minus 7, again, take a negative, subtract from it, you get a bigger negative. The last one we'll look at here is where we use some distribution. Four times x plus 15 equals 20. So we have our 4 on the outside of the parenthesis. So I'm going to take this 4, I draw the little arrows. We distribute it to everything in the parenthesis. So 4 times x makes 4x. 4 times 15 is 60. It's positive, so we put plus 60, equals 20. So again, a multi-step equation. Before I divide, I want to subtract. I want to get my x term by itself. And that x term is the 4x. So subtract 60 from both sides. Carry down the 4x equals 20 minus 60 makes a negative 40. Now we can divide out the 4. Again, you want to save that dividing the coefficient as your last step. Negative 40 divided by positive 4 is negative 10. So, if you have any questions, reach out through email or Remind, and I'll see you next time.